everyone, this is Erin Ashley Simon.
This is Brandon, Killabh.
And today we're going to try something a little bit different. We're going to be doing what we call Mailbag. We're going to be answering questions that fans submit via Twitter, DMs, or even questions that you guys leave in the comments, or even comments that you leave in the comments that we should address. Brandon, what's our first question?
From Chase.
Okay.
What was the turning point when you decided to get into media? Let's see. Joe retired, wasn't in music anymore, lost my passion. Let's really go on. No, I'm joking. I don't know. It kind of just happened. Like, it wasn't, I wanted to create. I just wanted to be creative. I knew so many different artists and so many different influential people that I just kind of wanted to. I was always fascinated by their stories. I wanted to share their stories with people because you don't get to normally hear about, what Royce is going through, struggling as an artist, or what Sci-Hi is going through.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's what the premise was for us.
I think for me, maybe not a lot of fans know, I've been working in media since I was like 17, 16.
Yeah, you guys, I'm the rookie. She's really the vet. I'm really a rookie here.
Yeah, I started a blog when I was 16, and I was always like, I was a fairly good writer. I was good at writing, and I created a blog called Box of Mess, and it was about sports, and we interviewed a lot of high school basketball players, and it got to the point where it was pretty big in terms of like the high school basketball blog world. Got over 1 million unique visitors, and from there I kind of like realized like, okay, I love doing this. Like, I like talking and writing about things that I liked, and from there I went to school for journalism and went on to write for local newspapers in Lexington, Kentucky, to work for the Wall Street Journal, Revolt TV for Diddy, and other media companies. And I mean, I've been pretty much engrossed in media. We connected, the fates, the stars aligned, and the full moon came up, and we ended up with Grassroots Podcast. And ever since then, it's been very enjoyable.
Yeah, the funny thing about the name Grassroots, though, we kept hearing it as we were planning on taking over the world. We kept hearing Grassroots. Yeah. Like, we were having class together. There's a bunch of weird shit that was happening. I feel like it's one of those things where I think Jay-Z, a lot of artists say it, that when you have something special, like, shit starts to happen. Like, like, a quarter will drop while that's happening. A baby's being born while that's happening. Fucking, I don't know. Just shit is happening in the universe.
Yeah.
And so the manifestation was Grassroots. We kept hearing it, and then I said, Darren, yo, I think that should be the name. She's like, I know. I think it should be the name too.
Yeah, so, I think I heard it too, and then I was just like, yo.
That's the name.
That's the name.
So that's where that came from. Good question, Chase. Next question is from Dizzle Davis. How do y'all handle criticism? How should celebrities?
Yeah, celebrities.
Celebrities handle criticism better.
Funny enough, criticism for me has come in different forms than criticism for Brandon. And maybe because I'm a woman, people will say I'm a feminist if I disagree with what a man says, or they'll go after my appearance or something like that. This is my thing. If it's constructive criticism, I'm going to listen because I don't think we're perfect and we can't get better. I feel like we focus so much on the negatives instead of focusing on the positives. If one negative person makes a comment and there's 10 other people that are saying positives, I'd rather focus on the positive, And I'm not going to be liked. Not everyone's going to like me. And for those who just are going to talk shit, I don't care. I got better things to do,
Yeah, I agree. For me, I don't really give a fuck what you guys say. I never have. I was taught that long ago. The moment you let people dictate you emotionally or mentally, it's when you lose control. So for me, I never really care. If it's not from like my core, like my team, like, everyone in the room, my people, then I'm not really that bothered. If it's someone else legitimate, like me and my man PJ were talking about just criticism and when it's valid and when it's not valid. If I'm a ball player and fucking LeBron tells me to work on my jumper, I may work on it.
Yeah.
But if fucking Hakeem in the park at Lincoln Park tells me to work on my jumper, I'm probably going to tell Hakeem to kick rocks. So I never really worry about that. And what was the second question? Oh, the second question is about celebrities. Media training is sorely missed in this day and age. I think I think it's an art that's not practiced as much as it should be. And I think that if that were ever to come back, where labels and management and team really started to, teach up and coming artists how to answer questions, how to get out of questions, how to be evasive and be a little bit more coy, then that would kind of fix that.
Yeah, and I just think like, it's good. It's when you're getting a lot of criticism. That's actually a good thing. Yeah. Because that means that people actually are paying attention. You just gotta take it as a grain of salt. And a lot of times too, people do that just to get attention. Like they will basically try to get a response from one of our friends who have other platforms. And, you don't have to pit us against each other. You don't have to try and get like a response from us or a response from them. If you really have constructive criticism, give it. If you don't,
kick rocks with open-toed shoes and no socks. Next question is from AJ Camps. Funk Flex Freestyle Series. You gonna drop bars. Now, this question is directly for Erin. A lot of you don't know that Erin does have bars, and she is secretly hiding them.
Because
if you've seen Erin out, you know that she wears very, very expensive basketball sneakers, and her hair is always done, and she looks like a rapper. So, with that said, are you dropping bars, Erin?
Oh my gosh! I mean, I drop bars often on Twitter.
This is true.
I drop advice or comments or certain things, and I'm very particular with what I say. So I feel like I drop bars on Twitter when it comes to certain topics and things.
Yeah.
So I do it already. In terms of music, I don't know.
Bars on top of bars.
Bars on top of bars on top of bars.
Sidebar. Did you hear those Wendy bars? The Wendy's bars? The mixtape? Oh, my God.
Yo, that actually was kind of fire.
Listen, if y'all have not listened, I know this is not a part of our Q&A right now, but go check out Wendy's mixtape. It's everywhere. It's called What's Beef. It's fire.
Oh, man. Yeah, but no, what's even better, like that production was solid. The person who was rapping was on point. And the disses towards McDonald's about their ice cream machine. Yo, I could listen to that on any day.
Whoever is running Wendy's social media and their branding, kudos. Y'all are killing out there.
You're about the culture.
D. Murray. This is for our mailbag. I feel like that's. Can I pause him for that mailbag? Yeah, I can pause him for that. Pause. All right. What is your favorite hot take from Grassroots so far this year? I.e., 7 rating of the Black Panther or no socks versus socks on?
Does it have to be hot takes from us? Could it also be hot takes from our guests? Because I no pun intended, I low-keyed liked low-keys comment about how we're kind of in a period of time where social media has allowed anyone to be the next best thing for anything, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they have experience.
Yeah.
And that like certain things like, how the digital cosign died off and how we give so much energy to people who, aren't the most experienced when it comes to certain fields and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for people like him to keep it real and industry people to keep it real because there are people in other positions that aspire to be someone like Loki or to be someone like in our position or anything like that. And the best thing that we can do is keep it real. So I actually liked his take. But for our hot take, oh my God, honestly, like, anything that Wilson does not say is my favorite hot take.
For those of you guys that don't know who Wilson is or have never heard an episode with Wilson, just go and go on our platform and just look for our Rooted episodes. You may find Wilson there. He is our neighborhood-friendly person that joins our podcast once in a while. He has a very unique way of explaining life. I'll say that. Hot take for me, I guess from a guest perspective, was Sigh Hi to Prince. For me, only just because I'm such a huge Sigh Hi to Prince fan. And I was kind of let down not hearing from him and then understanding why I didn't hear from him firsthand from him.
Yeah.
It was really insightful. So that is one. And then from us, it's an episode that we had early on where we talked a lot about culture, Black culture, and talked a lot about just things happening in the world between Trump and things like that. The audio for that was really fire. We had John F. Kennedy's speech at the end. We had a lot of semantics in that audio. It was really overlooked, but for me that was important just because it was the first time we were able to use our platform positively and to talk about real world issues and talk about things that were happening and talk about like some real crazy personal experiences. So that for me was like a really, really big episode.
Oh, was that the trip you guys took? And
yeah.
That was like in the, I can't give the exact number, but that was definitely like the first 5 episodes.
It's first 5 episodes,
Yeah.
but it was the first time where me and Erin, I remember it, like we jumped on a call and we was like, yo, do you see what's happening? He's like, yeah. And then literally we both said at the same time, yo, we need to record. And then we went and recorded that episode. And it was one of the more deeper episodes, but I think it needed to happen. So that was to answer the question. Long-winded, I know. How do you navigate the payola and nepotism that's in the industry?
Well, navigating the payola, well, I asked for what I've earned. And if you don't give that to me, then I'll find it somewhere else. I think, and I wouldn't necessarily say in this industry, but I think that especially when you're young and you're coming up, you may be afraid to ask for a certain payroll because you may feel like, oh, you're not experienced enough or this and that. But that's why you have to do like your research and everything, look at the average salary for jobs and positions. And for myself, I looked at it as, I've been, officially solely in the job world without school or anything for the 3 years, but I've been working since I was 16. So I'm almost at my 10-year mark. So, when I had my job interview, I was like, well, this is the position. This is what my experience is. This is my entire resume. So I asked for this. And then also in this industry, you have to kind of weigh your opportunities. Not every opportunity is a good opportunity. Yeah. I definitely learned that the hard way recently. That's all I will say. Even I made a mistake by thinking one opportunity was going to be really good and it ended up being really, really bad. But you have to kind of outweigh your opportunities and just see what makes sense. Sometimes opportunities that are paid may not be better than an opportunity that is not paid, but may give you more value for what you want to do. I don't know about you, Brandon, but when I started this industry, I did a lot of free work.
Yeah, I mean that's literally what I thought about reading this, right? Like there was so many times like just being on the road. Like when you're an entertainer, like you're constantly, obviously you're on the road and things like that. Like there's been plenty of times where we've gone to different places and like there was one clip that went viral years ago. It was me and Joe. We were in Philly, and we didn't know the place or anything, and we ended up performing on couches. Like legitimately, it was a couch, and we performed on it, and like people. They killed us for it, but at the same time, they praised us. They praised us because it's like, like any other artist would have left. You know what I'm saying? Like to be on that stage. But we were so vested in the music and so vested in the fans that me and him just looked at each other and we was like, we're gonna kill it. We're just gonna kill it. And it was a good show. But in retrospect, it wasn't a good look for Joe just because, when you're an artist and everything is about appearance. Yeah. So I just think, to your point, it's kind of weighing the pros and cons. There's payola everywhere, and there's, especially within the industry, it's just knowing how to be true to your art and what you're trying to display. And I think whenever you do that, then it all makes sense.
It's also about timing too, because if Joe and you did that now, it would have been looked at differently than it was back then. I think.
Yeah, definitely.
It would have definitely be looked at differently.
But that's the thing too with him. He was able to brand himself early on, and I don't think he intentionally did it. Part of me does, but it was a good thing, and I think he meant it. It was being connected with his fans. Like he was very big in never buying into the whole industry type of thing. He was always very big and just, yo, I'm gonna do it, whatever it is. I'm always transparent. And that was one of the transparent moments where literally we're on a fucking couch and I can touch the ceiling and we're crouched, but we are having a great show. And literally everyone there, they went crazy because we didn't leave and we didn't do what normal typical artists do. So I just think all of that shit matters. It matters.
And we apply that to our podcast too. Like we engage with our fans. Like we don't, like, just because we've done a lot of things in our other jobs does not mean that like we think of ourselves on like a high pedestal when it comes to this podcast. Like we're interacting with our fans. We're asking them what they like. We talk with our fans every day in our GroupMe chat room, because that's just how that's how you should be. You should never forget like who supported you, where you came from, and how you got into this point. And I do think that at certain times in this industry, there are some people that do forget that. And you're gonna come across a lot of personalities in this industry, just the same way you're gonna come across personalities in life. You just have to learn how to navigate, know what you are willing to deal with and what you're not willing to deal with. And what you're not willing to deal with, keep away from it. And what you're willing to deal with, you have to figure out how to navigate that.
What are your non-negotiables?
Yep, negotiables and non-negotiables. You guys heard that from me like 4 times already.
Very important. Very, very important.
Guy.
AJ again. AJ Camps. Yes, who in the fuck is Wilson? Yeah. It's just Wilson. What can you say? It's just Wilson.
Wilson's a friend.
Yeah.
He is a friend who has unique perspectives. That's all we can say.
Emphasis on unique.
Unique. That's unique. All we would say. Unique.
Very crazy.
Sometimes, no, not sometimes. Very brash.
I was about to
Very
say.
brash. Perspectives. That's all we can tell you.
Yeah,
we can't tell you who he is.
I don't know where Wilson lives. I don't know what he does for a living. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
Just a friend. We just became friends with him just through like events and stuff that we done.
Literally invited him here one day and he spoke and then joined our podcast. So I don't know.
That's how things work.
Yeah.
Maybe one day. Maybe on like our finale.
Yeah.
We'll let you guys know, but that'll be for some time.
That ain't gonna be for a while. So I also have another question. Everything is cliquey. Being a rogue or lone wolf is dangerous. How do you maintain relationships without being stuck with an association or affiliation that will follow you?
Just don't be affiliated with fuck shit.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think that's like the easiest way. It's just, not all affiliations are good affiliations and also I think it's important to be your own person and individual. Yeah. So while it's good to have affiliations and associations, make sure that you're branding yourself. Make sure you're out there, making your own relationships and doing what you need to do in order to be successful, in a sense.
And I always say this, also because my mom follows grassroots a lot, but anytime you do anything or associate with anything, just think like, what would my mother think?
Yeah.
If your mother's going to be okay with it, then, I mean, obviously not everyone's situation with their mother is the greatest, but whoever that person is in your life that looks at you highly or you look at highly and is always there to be there for you and criticize you and stuff, what would they think?
Yeah.
Trust me, I always have, most people don't know, one of our biggest like testers for an episode is my mom.
100%.
I have my mom listen to the episode and she'll just be like, y'all sounded whack at this part, or you guys sounded like too low energy, or I don't like what you guys said about that. Like, she's our tester.
Mama Simon is 100% the tester. We every time me and Erin have a doubt, she's like, I'm gonna ask my mom. I'm like, yep, go ahead and ask her. Go ask her. She'll let us know. She'll let us know. And she does.
She keeps it real.
She keeps it 100. She's told us plenty of times, you guys gotta pep it up. She gives the real mom lectures. You're like when your parents say to you, I'm just disappointed. Every time she says that, like when she'll be like, you guys, you need to loosen up a little bit. And be like, damn, all right, fine.
All right.
Shout out to Mama Simon, man. I love that woman. I do. This is from Jay Nolan. What was the initial inspiration behind creating the Grassroots podcast?
I'll let you say that one.
I think it was... Well, the initial thought, again, just circling back, was more so about trying to give artists like a safe kind of platform to come on to be able to express themselves, I guess. Like, it was one of those things where it was in a time where media was just kind of like crazy, where it was, you would see a rumor, then the next day the rumor would fucking disappear, and there was no honor in a sense. So that was like the main thing. I think that's how me and you really, really connected. We were like, yo, we want a place where artists can come and tell their stories, tell their grassroots, and also just give insight on the business, all while just being themselves. So I think that was really the focal point for us.
Yeah, and then it changed. And then it eventually changed to people being interested in, like, hearing our stories and perspectives.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, I didn't really think that was going to happen as soon as it did, to be honest.
I didn't think that either. I don't know why you guys give a shit about me.
Definitely not about regular Nas, too.
Yeah,
you should not care about what he does.
I don't know why you care about any of us. But, but to your point, though, I didn't think that, I didn't think it would happen that fast. And talk about associations, but it was one of those things where we were having a conversation, and someone said to us, like, yo, you guys have to do your own episodes. Yeah. And I was like, I guess we can figure this out, and we did it, and it was like, oh shit, people really want to hear. So that's how this came about. It's one thing I think we both have understood, and even you guys will eventually see a new product that we're working on, but literally in this process of creating, it's an everyday thing. Like, you're never just comfortable. Like, you'll hit your first 1K, and then you'll hit 5K, and then you'll hit whatever that number is. You're always going to want to top that, and you're always going to want to be creative if you're truly creative. And I think that that's something that, like, us as a family, as far as grassroots, we're all super creative. We're all always throwing out ideas. Yeah. We're all always trying to take things to the next level. And we're all trying to sacrifice because we know what it is. So because of that, the inspiration itself, I think it starts within the room that we're in, and then it blossoms into something else.
Yeah, and also just to provide a voice.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's certain things that we talk about on here that others may not. Especially personal experiences and stuff like that. Yeah. Like, we're going to be ourselves, and we're going to be blunt, about it. Like for me, who I am on this podcast is just another form of who I am, you know? So yeah, I curse a good amount sometimes. Yeah. But also, off this podcast, I don't. And then even remember that time where I brought up how, I identified when I was younger, I had daddy issues, but then that kind of assists and helped me get better, and that's certain people. Like, I'm not afraid to admit that. And I think that's what makes this podcast unique, is like people that come on aren't afraid to admit certain things. Like definitely. Royce admitted that he was afraid that he would lose his penmanship while being sober. Yeah. That's powerful. Yeah. And we want to continue to do that. And I think that also inspires us to do this more, is because people are willing to open up and be vulnerable and tell their stories to us that they might not have told anyone else. Yeah. And I think that's key. And we want people to continue to be comfortable to tell their stories. And if you enjoy it, cool. If you don't, cool. We just want to tell stories, our stories, give perspectives and opinions. That's it.
And that's it. That's really it.
Bars.
And
the last question from Lorenzo G. Who's in your top 5 of people you like to interview?
That's a good question.
That's a good ending.
Oh, I really got my top 5, keeping it a buck. I got Ghostface. I have Kanye. I have, this is going to sound crazy, Tom Hanks. I think Tom Hanks.
That's not crazy. That's an icon.
I love Tom Hanks. Like, I just feel like he's one of the people that's been here before. Like, he always shares a lot of wisdom. And I can't think of the other person, but it would really be 6 for me. It would be Morgan Freeman. I would love to be able to just sit and have a conversation with somebody like that.
I just want Morgan Freeman to talk. I just think his voice is so unique.
How much do you think it would cost for him to navigate or to be like the voice for you? Like, if you could go into an interview and sit there and have him speak for you, do you think you get the job?
Yes. Because Morgan Freeman's there.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that would be ill. That'd be ill to have him just fucking be able to talk. Like, I can just sit and be a mute, and anytime I need to respond to something, he can just respond for me. That's kind of fire.
That is fire.
I don't know, but that's my top. Who's your top?
Ava DuVernay. Elaine Welteroth. Just because I'm so curious. Jackie Chan.
What?
Jackie Chan, because he was part of that era where they mixed martial arts with movies. But it goes back to what Bohan said, that even people of that caliber, they were looked at in a comedic way and not necessarily in a serious way.
Got you.
But I'm also curious just to even learn about his experience having to, like, go in a career and learn English and all of a sudden, like, you're at a certain age and now you're in this movie and that movie and this movie, you know? And didn't even want to go to movies, which, you know, just stuff like that. Halsey, because I've seen a lot of interviews with her, and she is someone that is unapologetic about being bisexual and unapologetic about the fact that she's also part black. And she's not someone that, how do you say, passes. You know the term where people are like, oh, you could pass as white. No, she doesn't do that. She's like, no, my dad, I believe it's her dad. She's like, my dad's part black. And I think that unapologetic nature, I think is something that, and also being okay with who you are, is something that not a lot of artists are comfortable with. I mean, I think she called out, who did she call out? I think she called out Demi Lovato. And then Demi Lovato, she was like, why are you making a song about kissing girls when you yourself don't have that experience? And then Demi Lovato came out with her documentary and was like, I like girls too. Yeah. But she would probably not have ever said that if Halsey was like, you know.
Well, I like Demi Lovato.
I'm not saying I like Demi Lovato too, but I just think that someone who is unapologetic about their thoughts, their feelings, and who they are would make a really great interview. Yeah. And her backstory, from what I read, is pretty intense too. Yeah. So how did she go from like she had some serious shit happen to her. So I would definitely be interested in having her.
That's a good pick.
And she's young too. We need some young faces on here too. Do. So
like the oldest person.
Those are just some. I have a ton of people I want to interview. I told you, I'm a weird person. I love people's stories. I want to hear people's stories. So like, I'm willing to interview people who aren't big but have amazing stories. Yeah, yeah,
I agree. I've always been a fan of just stories and your how you got to where you are. I think that matters.
Oh snap! We just got a question come out of nowhere. Woo!
Okay,
doing it live too.
Harry. All right. Did you guys feel dependent on guests, or do you? I guess he meant to put do you. No.
At one point.
At one point, we did. At one point, we did. That's what we were talking about earlier. We really felt like this was our lane, and we were kind of one-dimensional. But then again, listening to our fans, listening to our friends, listening to pretty much all the feedback that we've gotten, we realized that we don't need to be one-dimensional. We can be well-versed in just bringing good content to you guys. Hence this episode, hence the Rooted, hence a few other things that we're working on. So I mean, no, not anymore. Not anymore. We're independent. Independent now.
Oh man. So yeah. We're going to be doing this often, answering questions you guys have. Feel free to tweet us at GrassrootsPod. You can even put questions on our Instagram. You can leave comments on YouTube. You can email us. Just whenever you have questions, we will spend the time to answering them. You can answer about us personally, our experience in the industry with the podcast. We try to be very straightforward and honest. Yeah. Because I think that's what we usually are anyway.
In a nutshell. Well, I'm Brandon Killabh.
I'm Erin Ashley Simon.
And we out.
See ya.